Well, a very good evening to you. My name is Nandine Doni and welcome to Africa Tonight, your window to the continent. Time for us now to go straight into it. As Zimbabwe prepares to go to the elections in 2018, seems the smaller parties are going to play a crucial role. President Mugabe has been battling blows from all sides. First, there is regular dissent in his party Zanu PF. There have been breakaway factions forming their own political parties, and to top it all, Zimbabwe is witnessing protest on several occasions. With the local issues dominating the proceedings, it seems President Mugabe's anti-West stand has not garnered the desired thrust for his political stability. Rather, it has been the basic issues like food, jobs, electricity and land reforms that have taken the forefront. In the run-up to the Zimbabwe elections, Africa Tonight is touching upon the various aspects that will be the cornerstone of the elections. Today, as we begin the series, we are joined by AC Lumumba from Viva Zimbabwe Party, Provincial Secretary from Information for PDP, Lovemore Peter Chukucha, is here in the studio, and Tinashe Jonas is from Ideal Zimbabwe President. And we also have Zanu PF Regional Chairman, Mr. Kennedy Mandaza, over the phone line as well. Now, Mr. Mandaza, thank you so much for joining us. Let me begin straight with you. Your party, Zanu PF, is feeling the heat. Where would you say Zanu PF stands at this very moment? Because it seems like a lot of pressure in a breakaway parties. What is Zanu's response to that?
Good evening. As Zanu PF, we are fully aware of the provisions of the Constitution which allows people to associate with any organization. So people have the right to make political choices freely of their own choices. They also have a right to assemble and associate with anyone that they want, as long as that is done peacefully. And additionally, they also have a right to form or join a political party of their own choice. So as Zanu PF, we are not perturbed by the number of political parties that are emerging in the country, because that's the essence for democracy, for which so many people went to war, fought for, and they did that on the basis of ensuring that many people can participate in the governance or the democratic processes of the country. So the issue of how many parties are there in Zimbabwe is not an issue to us at all.
Now, in studio, we have AC Lumumba, a young Zimbabwean who's launched his political career in studio with us. AC, my first question is to you. You are the new kid on the block, if you could say something like that. What are your political plans?
First of all, I want to say congratulations to the new Excellency Mashaba in Johannesburg. This just goes to show what the little guy can do in politics. In fact, it goes to show what the new guy can do in politics. Second of all, I want to just refer to what my good comrade Mandaza spoke about, the amount of political parties that are in the country. He's forgetting that it's not about the amount of political parties that are in the country, it's the amount of problems that are in the country that need the amount of solutions to solve those problems. And unfortunately, Zanu PF now doesn't have the answers, so all they have to do is talk about other political parties. Now let me tell you about Viva Zimbabwe. Our premise is fundamentally simple, and it goes that there is 72% of the country that is young people who are under the age of 35. Now, these are the biggest stakeholders and shareholders in the company called Zimbabwe. They hold the biggest equity in the future of the country.
Yes.
They ought to be sitting in the boardroom that makes the decisions for the country of Zimbabwe, because they actually have to live in this future. So our movement and our push is, come the next elections in 2018, in every electable seat, we will be fielding a young candidate who will be contesting to put young ideas into government, because what we need is not a repeat of the problems or a repeat of talking about the past. What we need is to now talk about the future, and Viva Zimbabwe is the party for people who belong in the future.
So it's the future now, Tinashe. Touching on that, your party has made some very historical stride, having two policies being announced on the same day, one of them being economic transformation. Can you tell us, on your side of the party, what does that mean, economic transformation and agenda for restoration? PDP. I apologize for that. Yes.
Thank you, Thank you so much. I would like to thank Mr. Lumumba here. I think he has got better experience with Zanu PF. he really knows the failures that Zanu PF has gone through, and they've run out of solution. In fact, they ran out of solution the day they get in office. So as People's Democratic Party is a social democratic party that is totally committed in creating a new sustainable Zimbabwe where all citizens are able to enjoy a better life and easy access to all health and educational jobs and equality. So PDP was launched on Thursday, the 10th of September 2015 at a colorful inaugural elective congress attended by thousands of Zimbabwe in Harare City Sports Center. And PDP is the first political party to launch two policy documents, which is Hope and Arrest, and Hope being the blueprint and the answer to economic crisis to Zimbabwe. So PDP, since is also spearheading the National Transition Authority, whereby we are calling for a safe landing to arrest the country from total collapse. So we are formed. PDP is coming together is calling to all political parties to come together and try to address the issue of Zimbabwe before it has escalated to a position where it's of no return.
Chairman Mandaza, now they said a complete collapse of the economy. Do you feel that Zanu PF is in the state where it isn't a complete collapse?
We, as Zanu PF, we have programs that are in place that are the majority of the guys that are there are aware of, and they have been part to. Particularly when we look at Lumumba, he has headed quite a number of these institutions where they were propagating policies that were meant to improve the lives of the Zimbabweans. Like we have always said, as Zanu PF, we are cognizant of the challenges that we have. And we are aware fully that these challenges need the Zimbabwean solutions. And as a result, we are quite open. That is why we are allowing the proliferation of a number of other players that would want to come up with solutions. But what we strongly advocate for is a situation where almost everyone in Zimbabwe appreciates that Zimbabwean problems need Zimbabwean solutions. And we need to put our heads together as Zimbabweans. And for now, it is our role as Zanu PF to make sure that the policies that we have come up with, they are taken seriously, and we try to look for the resources that are needed in order to make sure that we provide bread. We provide bread on the table for the people that are in Zimbabwe. We are fully aware of the challenges that that we are facing in as far as money is concerned, and which is one of the drivers that we need to be available in the country in order for us to be able to sustain the economy and recover the economy from where it is at the moment. Zim Asset is one of the programs that we have come up with, and we are looking for resources and money for us to be able to implement all that we have crafted in the Zim Asset document. So as Zanu PF, we are still quite hopeful that there are opportunities that are available, because Zimbabwe is one of the richest countries that we have on the continent, with so many resources that only need to be exploited, beneficiated, and then all will come into place.
Mr. Lovemore, do you agree with Zanu PF there? So many resources, etc., and so forth. What is your view?
I do not agree totally with what Zanu PF representative is talking online, because if he's saying the Zimbabwean problems need Zimbabwean Zimbabweans to solve to bring the solutions, whereby they are actually arresting people when people are calling out peacefully for transformation on economic, and they are now saying that we are open hand for dialogue, whereby they are not actually listening when people are calling out for change, for the government to hear them. There is a system of torture that is happening to peaceful demonstrators. Some are still in police cells as we speak right now. They are yet to appear on to the court tomorrow, because they actually demonstrated that the situation is bad. But the Zanu PF is actually manufacturing new constitutional laws only to suit their needs, because the Zanu PF have been surprised by the explosion of social movement, the hashtag this flag and Tajamu Kases Jigile. So
I'm gonna move on to Mr. Tinashe there, president of the Ideal Zimbabwe Party. What do you think of the social outburst that has swept Zimbabwe at this point, and any plans for some kind of coalition?
Yeah, we are. I mean, we are victims, and we are survivors of the mismanagement of our economy and the brutality in our country. All of us. So we are actually fighting the common enemy. And as the Ideal Zimbabwe, we believe that Zimbabwe, of course, we need to go to elections 2018. But right now it's a crisis in our country. And secondly, Zanu PF, they don't believe in democracy. So as Ideal Zimbabwe, we're gonna hear what our people are gonna say. If it means Zanu PF, we're gonna remove them. If it means we're gonna remove them by war, we're gonna do that.
Well, those are very strong words to say, if you're going to have to remove them by war, which is, I'm sure, something that, you know, we hope will lead to. One of the things that is quite pressing, people want to know, why are you based in Pretoria?
Okay. Zimbabwe is a, what can I say? It's a war zone. And Mugabe is a de facto, he's a coup leader. He has taken over, he has changed from being a civilian leader to an army commander. So there's no way you can start your party nicely under such conditions. So you've got to be outside the country and see what can happen, and then we would try to persuade him to be democratic. If he's not democratic, planning, because he's basing on his thugs, he gives uniforms to act as police, and then those thugs are backed by the army. If it means he can't open democratic channels, we're going to face him head on. We are young people.
Mr. Lulumba, you seem itching to answer to that. Please give us your view. Look,
what I'm itching to answer to is the solutions. You know, I think we can go over the problems as much as we want to go over the problems. If anything, you know, the comrade from Zanu PF confused me by what the solutions to the problems are. I think he confused the audience. I hope he hasn't confused himself. Now, here are the solutions. What the country is going through is what's called a deflationary depression. It's the worst state of economics you can possibly be exercising. What this means is your economy is no longer practical for anybody to operate in. What you need to do is you need to resuscitate the economy. So imagine a 36-year-old man, which is pretty much how old our country is, moves into the ICU and you're on your deathbed. The first thing you have to do is put a peppervirin injection into the heart so you keep the patient alive. Now you do this by stopping spending. You have to cut onto the spending. This is the first thing you've got to do. Second thing you've got to do to resuscitate, to provide a beautiful deal of leveraging, is you have to operate on your own currency. I know the argument against the Zim dollar, I understand it, but you have to operate on your own currency because you can control the inflation on your own currency if you do it responsibly. Now you have to lower the interest rates, because by lowering the interest rates, more people can borrow from the bank. And finally, what I think is most important is you have to bring in financial inclusion. What financial inclusion is, my love, is the banking sector in the country right now, which is where you really have to create your jobs. The banking sector has become a dinosaur. It's designed for the Rhodesian economy. So if you go to the bank today as a young person or as a normal Zimbabwean, you can't access finance. Why can't you access finance? Because their products are not tailor-made for our economy. So when you create financial inclusion, what you're saying to the banks is, give me a product that works for the person who is selling fruits on the streets. Give me a product that I can take to a kid who's got an idea in school, but they don't have collateral to give you. These are the solutions we need to start bringing onto the table on how do we fix this economy. I'm not interested in blueprints. Neither am I really interested in anything else except what are the solutions. Mugabe is not the problem. Hey? Zanu PF is not the problem. They can all go today, and even if they go today, unless we've got an actual plan on what do we do to change your life, we're still headed in no direction.
Those are some very valid points that you mentioned there. But one thing I must bring up, which is quite controversial, you've been in the media, and you've been in the media for insulting the president and also for embezzlement of funds. And one thing that was also brought up is that you're using an alias. Now, someone who's got such ideals for their country, a lot of people can say, okay, but then we have all these controversial things surrounding you. How can the people of Zimbabwe feel like, I can trust this man?
I think you undermine the intelligence of the people of Zimbabwe. You make them look like they can't think. You make it look like all they think about is the person's personal life. Now, when I was in Zanu PF, did I do some things I shouldn't have done? Yes, because in Zanu PF, you don't get fired for being corrupt. You know what you get fired for in Zanu PF? You get fired for not being corrupt. The day you stop being corrupt, then you get fired. But it doesn't change that I've got the answers and other people don't have the answers. Viva Zimbabwe's answer is simple. You take young people who know how to get the job done, you give them the platform to get the job done. Now, you want to talk about what name I call myself. I'm not running for political office. I have no interest in running for political office. I'm a political maverick. I'm the guy who goes on the ground and I campaign and I build an institution and infrastructure that you can't beat. Where did I learn that? In Zanu PF, because you don't humbly beat Robert Mugabe in an election. You aggressively beat that boy in an election. Now, the only way to do that, is you got to be ready to roll up your sleeves and get to work. But again, I want to bring you back to the most crucial thing. The solution is not what does Lumumba call himself. The solution is what do we do about beneficiation. When we remove our diamonds from Marange Diamonds, we're fighting about 1 block out of 7 blocks. When we take 1 8-carat piece of diamond and we beneficiate it, we add 10 times the value to it. So by the time we sell it and we trade off, we're able to get more money for value. That means more money in our pockets. These are the solutions we ought to be talking about. Rule of law. We need a country that understands when you have a law, it applies to everybody. The president is breaking section 54, 55, 56, 60, and 61 of the constitution of the country, which deprives all of us, all of a sudden, from our ability to question his ability. But that man, we're not his employees. He's our employee. And as long as you're our employee, you better start getting used to answering our questions, because we the boss, you're the worker. You don't answer those questions, you're going out.
There we go. Very passionate answer there, Mr. Lovemore. I mean, he said it in a nutshell. What is your response to that?
Yeah, I really agree with him. That's why we as PDP, we are in solidarity with any organization that is focused on bringing the solution to Zimbabwe. That's why we call a clarion call for people to converge, to come together and put our minds together for the solution for the people of Zimbabwe. This time that we are facing right now, it is not the time for political parties to boast about themselves, how huge they are, how long they've been in a political ground. But it is time right now to fight the roots of poverty. And it is time now to bring solutions. That's why we are calling for national, for transitional authority, so that we can now land safely and rescue our country from total collapse that we've been talking about. That Zanu PF is not actually seeing that, because they are only concentrated in their own circles. So what is happening to the poor people and the rest of Zimbabweans, they don't care, because they can only see people who are benefiting from corrupt activities. Like my brother says that if you want to be expelled from ZANU PF, stop the corruption. So I think there will be questions that will be asked around when people like who has come out from ZANU PF, the likes of Maim Juru and Lumumba. But now people are waking up from their deep slumber. You understand? They have come to see what has been hidden. They are coming to realize. So we are not, it is not time for now to judge. While our country is going down, it is the time now for every person in Zimbabwe to say that enough is enough, and the power is with people, and we are the people. We can decide where our country is going tomorrow. So as PDP, that's why we are here to say that we are in solidarity and we are supporting any movement that is against the root of poverty, that is from ZANU PF.
Mr. Mandaza, what is your reaction to the panel? They seem to be very passionate and pointing out a lot of important and relevant facts.
Thank you so much. One thing I want to say that the ZANU PF does not condone violence. It does not condone brutality. It does not condone terrorist activities. It does not condone corruption as well. However, it is true to say that the country has been bedeviled by a number of corrupt people.
This is not true. You can't possibly want the country to believe that. This is not true. ZANU PF is a terrorist organization. What are you talking about? ZANU PF is a terrorist organization.
All right, there we have.
I'll give you a dictionary explanation. Terrorism
Hold
is
on,
a dictionary.
we'll give you a chance there, Mr. Lumumba. Mr. Mandaza, please do continue. Please do continue.
Mr. Mandaza is lying to all of us.
If anyone speaks of removing the government violently, and it does not reside in the, then we assumed that there is no other activity that that person might be involved in. We do not condone that. But however, let me say that the panel, some of the guys that are on the panel, they have all the solutions that we have been talking about. The issues of beneficiation, the issues of stating the economy, value addition, those are the things that we have always spoken about. And these are the issues that we have said can only drive our economy and bring it to the level that we want to have it. And this can only be done by Zimbabweans in Zimbabwe. And we therefore expect that when we are looking for solutions to recover the economy, we should be able to do it with cool heads, sure that we understand what we intended to do. You can't wait until the economy collapses completely for a day when you are in power, then we say we want to restart the economy. It is now that the Zimbabweans should come together in their totality and say we have these solutions that we have on the table. Can we work together and make sure that we pull resources and put them on the table and recover the economy? But what we have
now,
seen,
Mr. Mandaza, I'm going to slow you down there. I'd like a response from the panel. What is your response?
This man does not know what he's talking about.
Let's begin with Mr. Tinashe. Please do say your piece.
Okay, I think at first I didn't have the chance to explain what is Ideal Zimbabwe, so I will go to the later stage. Okay, Ideal Zimbabwe is, we are motivated by, ordinary people in Zimbabwe. Because what we see in Zimbabwe is that the political party is formed by prominent people. So when someone is prominent now, they make their people, they lead, serve them, instead of them to serve the people.
Around, yes.
So we came together, we are ordinary Zimbabweans suffering in South Africa. We always call home, how is things, so that we can go back. And then things are getting worse. So we thought, no, let's combine and form a political party, because if you want to arrest the devil, you should go to hell. So the devil being Mugabe, we should be politically. We should be political to arrest Mugabe. So then we formed the party. And then for ordinary people, no one is prominent, no one has been a mayor or an MP, or for a record, I've never been a member of any political party in Zimbabwe. I've never voted, because the election is predetermined. We know that you need to vote because you love Mugabe. If you don't like Mugabe, don't vote, because you're going to win.
AC, please do a comment.
Absolutely. I think let me teach my brother Mandaza a lesson in economics. When he says that Zanu PF has got the solutions, let me give him basic perimeter economics on what bond notes mean, which are being introduced as a Zanu PF policy. You bring in $200 million that is not backed by anything except your word. $200 million, your 4 million people who go to work in Zimbabwe, if they all go to the bank today and they withdraw $50 each, that's $200 million gone. What do you do when $200 million is gone? You print more money. What do you, when you start printing more money, who's counting? When you start recklessly printing money, you now simply lead your country to what's called a pariah state. So economically, he should stop lying to everybody. They don't have the answers. They don't have the answers at all. Now, the solution for fixing the economy has got to come through a certain process of an electoral activity called the election. This happens when young people go to the vote. Let me give you the arithmetic. 4.3 million Zimbabweans are aged under 45 today. These 4.3 million Zimbabweans have never voted. In the last election, you had 3 million people who voted, split almost in between. Almost split MDC 1 million, Zanu PF about 2.2 million. This was the split. What this essentially means mathematically is your 4.3 million people who have never voted, who belong to the future, but have got the power to remove Zanu PF and replace Zanu PF with ideas for the future. It's not about replacing you with a political party. Yes. We must replace it with ideas for the future, and those ideas belong to young Zimbabweans.
Let's hold on, Mr. Mandaza. I'd really like for you to respond to
and give us some answers. Can he give us the economic answers?
As he said, give them the answers.
Just one even, and he can explain it.
There is no problem in people going to an election to remove a government. People can vote for an election if they are not happy with the current government. Let them show it through the ballot box. And we have not We have not said that we are not prepared to go for an election.
One answer, Mr. Mandaza.
At the end of the day is what people say to the people when we go out and sell our manifestos. If that manifesto is plausible to the people, what Zanu PF manifesto has always been, it has been plausible to the people, and people have liked it, and they've voted for Zanu PF to go in power. In any other party that is there, should have come up with an alternative, go to for an election, and if they win, so be it.
It seems like the panel seems to be beating their head against
one solution,
the
Mr.
wall
Mandaza.
because they're wanting to hear a solution, Mr. Mandaza. Mr. Lovemore.
Yes, the Zanu PF had never had solutions since they came in office, and they will never have solutions. So all they are good at is lying. So you can hear what he's trying to say, that the solution of Zimbabwe can only be solved by the people of Zimbabwe, whereby you also do not regard Zimbabweans as people when they are coming together to say, can you give us answers? You clamp them, you arrest them. And as leaders, as a leading government, there is no day that they ever came back and give answers to people to what they are crying for, but only that they are saying that people are trying to be terrorists, whereby now they are saying it's cyber terrorism. And in a few days they went and manufacture another constitutional law to clamp down people who are communicating through social medias. And it's the only way people can talk with people from afar and put ideas together for the solution. But then now you are going to make it as an illegal thing. What type of a government is? It is a government that is actually, because Mr. Lumumba understands, that's why he says it's actually a government that will never tolerate any democratic movements.
Yes, Mr. Sinashe, I'm going to go to you very quickly as we wrap it up. What is your last say?
My last say is that Zimbabwe needs not much of elections. It needs a revolution. We need to free Mugabe himself out of his own evil. We need to free Grace Mugabe. You know, it's not easy to share a blanket with someone who can die anytime, an ancestor. And then we need to free the CIOs. They're intelligent, they're being abused by Mugabe. The army of Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe needs a revolution. Mugabe needs to be taken kicking and screaming.
Mr. AC, very strong words there.
Look, the economy is like a woman, okay? And capital is like the man. So we are the type of woman right now who is a one-night stand type of woman, who capital comes into the country and then it stays the night, has its pleasure, and then capital goes. The only way you build value on yourself as a woman is you've got to start, first of all, respecting yourself. We don't respect ourselves enough as a country. Second of all, you've got to add value onto yourself. You have to be presentable when people see you. We're not presentable when people look at us. Third of all, you don't put out your dirty linen for everybody to see. When you and your husband are fighting, you close the door, you don't bring visitors in. Only when you finish, then you allow visitors to come in. So if we were a woman and capital was the man, capital would simply be coming for quick exertion through a one-night stand.
Wow, that is a very, very interesting comparison that Mr. Lumumba made there. Mr. Mandaza, please, your final words as we close off.
My final words is that as Zanu PF, we are the current government. We are still continuing to do as much as we can to make sure that we run the country to the best advantage of the people so that they can have food on the table. The policies that were put in place, we will continue to make sure that we find the necessary resources that are needed to ensure that we bring back the economy to the levels where each and every individual who is in the country and even those that are outside the country will eventually benefit from the economy that has for a very long time been in the doldrums or going down. It is now time for all Zimbabweans to come together and say, let us put our heads on the deck and push for solutions that will turn our economy to better days.
Well, that's it, Mr. Mandaza. Those are his last words there. Having PDP in studio, also the Ideal Zimbabwe Party, and also Zanu PF on the line, and Mr. Lumumba making some very interesting comparisons there and some very interesting statements coming out from our guests. Very passionate debate indeed, and we thank all our guests for joining us tonight, and thank you, most importantly, the audience for watching Africa Tonight. Do join us again, same time, same place tomorrow, right here on ANN7.